Welcome back, Jeff Nichols, director of Midnight Special.
Everybody else.
It's such a magical film and to see in this beautiful theater, so thank you all so much. We always start in the beginning, like, where did you come up with this? You know, kind of how does this idea start?
Well, you know, when I write from two places at once, typically. On one hand, you've got plot and genre, all the cool stuff. And that's where this one started, actually. It started with this idea of these two guys driving a car really fast down a back road in the middle of the night in the South. And the plot just kind of developed from there. You start thinking about why are they there, who's chasing them, all these other things. You put a kid in the back seat, special powers. And oddly enough, with this film, the plot came pretty quickly. But I was probably halfway through the plot, and I just kept saying, well, what the hell is it about, you know? Because I can't just make a silly sci-fi chase movie. And at the time, you know, my wife and I, we had an 8-month-old when I really started conceiving of this. And he had something called a febrile seizure. It's the body's reaction to a spike in fever. He's fine, but it was very scary for us. And I think as a new father, it kind of, it jolted me awake. That you know, this little person is precious, and I have absolutely no control over his place in this world. And so I started to think about fatherhood, and if I can't control the environment that he grows up, if I can't keep him safe, if I can't control who he's going to grow up to be, like, why am I here? Why am I here as a parent? And I started to think, well, okay, well, maybe being a parent is about trying to define who your child is, trying to help them understand who they are, not project yourself or what you want them to be, but just try and understand who they are. And that seemed like an interesting thought. That seemed like a thought worth maybe making a movie about. And that's really Kirsten and Mike's, their characters, they're just trying to understand what he needs and give it to him. And then I thought, okay, well, that's worth bothering people with.
We have mics set up here, so audience can actually join us in asking some questions if you'd like to line up. But there's so many questions I have. The collaboration between you two, between Michael and Jeff, has been so significant. Also with Sarah and David Wingo, I think, is in the audience, who did the score.
David, where are you, David? They made him sit way up there.
Not to leave anybody else out. Not to leave anybody else out. So forgive me for that. But they've been so long running. And I just would love to hear more about that.
Well, you know, I like working with the same people if I can. It just makes the job easier. It gives you a shorthand. You know, I don't have to worry about people thinking I'm nice or a jerk or whatever. They just kind of know me, and it just kind of, it's efficient, you know. Mike and I mean, I don't know. It's too complex to really, you know, encapsulate in an anecdote or anything. But I think Mike, he makes me a better writer. I know he makes me a better director. But obviously there's an efficiency to this story. I tried to whittle down as much of the narrative exposition as possible, maybe sometimes too much. And I knew, though, that I'd have Mike anchoring this thing. And with Mike, you know, he's so good in between the lines. In between all the dialogue, he fills it in with all this emotion. And that is, I don't know, that's a unique quality. And so I just think he makes me better.
And actually, Michael, is this something you want to talk about as well?
Yeah, I think Jeff and I have some things in common. You know, we're both from the South, and I think that milieu and that atmosphere kind of influences our aesthetic, the way we like to tell stories. I feel really at home in Jeff's work. I feel like I can relate to it. I mean, I do other things that are very different, but I always feel like I'm coming home when I get the chance to work with Jeff. So.
Sarah?
It doesn't get better. I mean, I love working with the same person over because, as we talked about the shorthand, we just understand each other better, and I don't know, it can be really, really hard putting a movie together and getting it out in the world. And but when you have Jeff Nichols, reaching in his heart and into his life to tell a story like this, and he leads the charge with a troupe of actors like this who are willing to, kind of open their hearts every day and rip themselves open in front of a camera and 40 people standing around, and it's magic. It's magic. So I would fight to the death to protect an artist, but on this one, we didn't have to. It was, kind of amazing between our partners, Christos Konstantopoulos and Glenn Basner and Warner Brothers. It was smooth putting the movie together. It's been amazing getting it out in the world, and I don't know, I don't even have any war stories. Maybe you do.
I'm good.
Okay, real quick. For you guys that don't know, this is Brian Kavanaugh Jones and Sarah Green, my producers. They've been with me since after Shotgun Stories. And I mean, Sarah Green's produced for Terrence Malick, David Mamet, John Sayles. She's made a career out of, supporting filmmakers' visions. And I think there are a lot of producers that say they support the director, but this woman actually lives and breathes this stuff, And Brian Kavanaugh Jones, he was the first person to see a DVD of Shotgun Stories while it was still just on my computer. And he helped me raise money to finish it. These people, my career doesn't exist without these people. So I just want to say that. So you need the context for these people.
Brian, did you want to jump in for a minute? All right, let's go to the audience. Go ahead.
I think this movie just blossoms with creativity in every aspect of filmmaking. And we expect actors to look their parts and to be dressed and everything, play their roles, which happened. I was most curious about the religious group and wondered if you recruited some religious group because they looked so convincing.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to shoot this in West Texas, but they wouldn't have us.
Oh.
So I think it hit a little too close to home. There was a great collection of articles in Texas Monthly Magazine written by Katie Vine, who's an extraordinary writer, and she was talking about the FLDS ranch outside of San Angelo, the crazy Warren Jeffs ranch. And I pulled a lot of inspiration out of those articles, and then just looking at photographs of those folks. Mm-hmm. But I really have to give credit to, Erin Bennick, who's my costume designer. Yeah. I mean, she's just incredible.
Well, she really is. If those
she
are
built
actors.
all those dresses, She built all those dresses. But now, it's really just the team around me. All I can do is tell them what I thought, mm-hmm. and then this team around me actually make it into a reality.
Well,
I should actually point out Chad Keith, my production designer's here. Chad, where are you at? Yeah. He's in the back. He did Take Shelter and this film. He did my next film, Loving. He's the real deal.
Congratulations to all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead over there.
Hi guys, I really love the movie. I'm a huge admirer of Mr. Nichols, and Jaeden, you did a really great job. I thought you were spectacular. My question is for you, Mr. Shannon. You happen to play a lot of characters that are driven and do a lot of things that are questionable, but they believe that they're right, like your character in Take Shelter and General Zod in Man of Steel. So what draws you to these kinds of characters?
I'm really just looking for role models,
Go ahead, this side.
Sure. So my name's Eric. Hi guys. Hi. So Alton in the movies, I guess, when the aliens or other beings, what are one of his parents also one of the beings? How did he get there? I think they smile at the end, right? I don't know if it's like a parents being happy for him that he's home, or is it they know something?
Eric, is your name Eric?
Yes.
Eric, I think that's a very fair question. I'm going to let you go outside the theater with whoever you came here with, and y'all can talk about it all night long.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hello. My question's for the actors. When you're dealing with a plot that's so mysterious, do you have to have certain conversations with either Jeff or yourself to say that I probably shouldn't deliver a line a certain way, I shouldn't do a certain movement to kind of give away the mystery of the film? I'm like thinking in particular because of you, Joel, working in The Gift, when you're dealing with a mysterious plot line like that, like, do you have to have conversations with yourself or somebody to kind of work that out?
I live in LA, and there's a lot of actors, and they walk around and they're talking to themselves a lot, muttering. Look, in particular with this film, yeah, look, we had lots of conversations about the history of characters because the information was there in many ways, but a lot of it wasn't being put on the screen, which I like because I believe that quite often the best way is the characters are defined by actions in real time rather than lengthy stories about their past and exposition. And I know that I'm speaking kind of on Jeff's behalf here because I've sat beside him in certain interviews and heard him talk about this very thing. But the idea of having that information, being equipped with it, knowing what the worlds of characters are in the world of the story is before and after the movie, and then choosing not to show it, but allowing the audience and to fill in the gaps. My best expression of that is to say that he paints part of the canvas and then hands the brush to you and goes, all right, well, you fill in the rest of the gaps, without making it a frustrating experience, but more of a kind of a contract between you and him.
Yeah, it's like he creates a situation and circumstances, and he just wants you to live in it. Live in it as fully as possible. He's just looking for behavior. He's looking for what would these people do in these circumstances. In terms of how it's doled out to the audience or the ultimate shape or form of it, he controls that with the camera and with the editing. But he never asks us to worry about that.
Both in Jaeden, this can you talk about, was this fun to watch here? Did you just enjoy this?
Well, watching the movie, is that, I'm sorry, what?
Well, the experience, yeah, I'm just...
Keith and I went to dinner, okay?
Yeah, we did.
Jaden's had a few wines by this point.
This movie, I don't want to watch it at all.
Yeah, got it. That's fine. We'll take that back and just talk about the process of making the film. Is actually much more interesting, is what I meant to say.
Well, filming this movie was, Jeff is such a unique and interesting director, and he's like no other. And so, working on a movie like this is, it's just an amazing experience, because no one really goes through it that often, and no one gets to work with somebody like that and do this kind of film. So it was just, first of all, a very fun movie to shoot because of the crew and the cast. But then again, it was just a very important acting experience for me.
Well, forgive me for not knowing the answer to this already, but how many films have you been in?
I have been in five movies, I believe. I think.
All right.
I think.
Well, Kirsten, this is your first time at South by Southwest Film, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to the festival, but just to hang out. But
we're thrilled. We're such a fans of your work, so it's thrilling to see you on screen. And actually, I actually don't have a question other than I
don't need to talk.
We're actually going to close. We actually are out of time.
Thanks, guys.